Daniel and I had a marriage most people envied. We were partners in every sense, best friends, lovers, and each other's biggest supporters. Our life was simple yet beautiful, built on trust and understanding. I never had a reason to doubt him, never questioned his loyalty. Then came Claire. She was an old friend of Daniel's, someone he had known long before he met me. When she reached out to him, she was in a difficult place, newly divorced, financially struggling, and emotionally drained. She had nowhere to turn, and despite barely knowing her, I felt an obligation to help. "She's just going through a rough time," I told Daniel one evening. "We should be there for her." He hesitated. His response wasn't immediate, which surprised me. But then he nodded, rubbing his temples. Yeah, of course. If you think it's the right thing to do."
I did.
At first, it was simple. We helped her find a temporary place to stay, assisted with errands, and offered emotional support. Claire was grateful, overly so. She would thank me constantly, sometimes with tears in her eyes, saying she didn't know what she would have done without us. I felt good about my decision, proud of the generosity I had shown. I had invited her into our lives, made space for her to heal, and given her a sense of security. It felt like the right thing. But then I started noticing things. Small things. Daniel, who was always transparent with me, suddenly seemed more guarded. When Claire called, he would step out of the room to talk. When I asked what she needed, his responses were vague. "Oh, she just needed some advice," he would say, or "nothing serious, just checking in." I told myself I was overthinking. Claire was vulnerable, and Daniel was just being kind. After all, I had been the one to push him to help her. One evening, she came over for dinner. As I cleared the dishes, I caught something, a fleeting moment between them. A look, an unspoken exchange. It was quick, almost imperceptible, but it made my stomach tighten. I brushed it off. Maybe I had imagined it. Yet a feeling settled inside me, one I couldn't shake. Something had shifted, something subtle but undeniable. And I had no idea just how much my world was about to change. Claire became a regular presence in our lives. At first, it felt normal. After all, we were helping a friend in need. But soon, things began to shift in ways I couldn't ignore. Daniel, once devoted and present, seemed distracted. His phone, which used to sit face up on the table, was now always screened down. He would leave the room to take calls, his voice hushed, his words clipped. "Just work," he'd say when I asked. But his eyes didn't meet mine when he said it. Claire, on the other hand, grew more comfortable, too comfortable. She started dropping by unannounced, staying longer than necessary. When Daniel was around, she laughed at everything he said, touching his arm lightly, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I told myself I was being irrational. I had been the one to invite her into our lives. It wasn't fair to resent her now. But then, the changes in Daniel became undeniable. He started dressing better. Cologne, fresh haircuts, iron shirts, things he never cared much about before. When I teased him about it, he shrugged. "Just trying to switch things up," he said with a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. Nights became different, too. He stayed out later, always with an excuse. Claire needed help setting up her internet. Or she had car trouble. The explanations felt reasonable, until they didn't. One night, as he got ready to leave again, I finally asked, "Why is it always you? Why not someone else?" His reaction was immediate, defensive. "Because I care, that's why. You wanted to help her, didn't you?" The way he turned it back on me sent a chill through my body. He wasn't wrong. I had been the one to insist we help Claire. But I hadn't expected this. I hadn't expected my husband to change before my eyes, slipping away inch by inch. The final confirmation came when I caught them in a moment too intimate to be innocent. It was nothing obvious, just a glance, a lingering touch as she handed him something, but it was enough. A sinking realization settled in my chest. I had invited this into our lives. I had told him to help her. And now I was starting to see the consequences of that choice. The unease that had been creeping into my mind for weeks finally became unbearable. I had ignored the signs, silenced my instincts, convinced myself I was imagining things. But deep down, I knew the truth was right in front of me. I just wasn't ready to face it. That changed the night Daniel told me he was going to Claire's apartment to help her with something urgent. He barely looked at me when he said it, grabbing his keys in a rush. My stomach twisted, my heartbeat pounded in my ears. Something about the way he said it, the way he avoided my eyes, made the decision for me. I followed him. Every step felt heavier than the last. A part of me wanted to turn around, to pretend I never felt the need to do this. But another part, the part that had been warning me all along, refused to be ignored. When I arrived, I stayed in the shadows, hidden just enough to see, but not be seen. The moment the door opened, I saw them. Claire pulled him inside, her arms around him like he was hers, and the way he leaned into her, the ease of it, told me this wasn't new. Then came the part that shattered me completely. The way he touched her. The way he kissed her. The way he gave her the affection I thought belonged to me. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. The man I had built a life with, the man I trusted with everything, was holding another woman like I didn't exist. And Claire, someone I had opened my heart to, had accepted my kindness and repaid it with betrayal. Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not yet. I watched for a moment longer, as if seeing it for myself would make it real, as if it would force me to accept what my heart already knew. I should have confronted them right then, demanded answers, screamed, cried something. But I didn't. Instead, I turned around and walked away. Because some betrayals don't need words. They speak for themselves. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of what I had witnessed settle deep into my bones. The betrayal wasn't just about the act itself. It was the deception, the slow unraveling of everything I thought was real. By morning, I knew what I had to do. When Daniel walked through the door, his shirt slightly wrinkled, his hair messier than when he had left, I was already sitting at the table, waiting. He paused when he saw me, his eyes flickering with something, guilt, maybe, or the briefest flash of panic. "Where were you?" I asked, my voice calm.
Too calm.
He exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair. "I told you Claire needed help with something." I nodded, letting his lie settle between us before I shattered it. "I was there."
Silence.
A heavy, suffocating silence.
His jaw tightened.
He opened his mouth, then closed it. There was no excuse, no explanation that could erase what I had seen. He knew it, and I did too. He started, but I held up a hand. "Don't," I said, my voice breaking slightly. "Just don't." Claire had sent me a message earlier that morning, a pathetic attempt at an apology. "I never meant for this to happen. I never wanted to hurt you." As if that made it better. As if it erased the months of secrecy, the stolen moments, the lies disguised as kindness. I stood up, my heart racing but my decision clear. "I don't need an explanation, Daniel. I just need to leave." For a second, he looked like he wanted to stop me, like he might say something to make me stay. But he didn't. He just stood there, silent, watching as I gathered what little I needed. As I walked out the door, a strange calmness settled over me. I had lost something, but I had also reclaimed something, myself. And as I stepped into the world outside, I knew one thing for certain. I had told him to help her. And in doing so, I had lost him forever.